In 1989, Payco released the Delta Beam with the intention of creating the best slim floor composite beam on the market. Since the late 80s, the R&D on the Delta Beam has been relentless to meet new market requirements and evolving codes and standards.
It's a unique system, so for the right projects, this is going to be a big deal. It saves a ton of time. The precast system using the Delta Beam is way faster than cast in place. You have less trades on the site, so you're going to see cost advantages and you're going to see speed advantages, two of the biggest things out there.
I think this adds an awful lot and takes away one of the difficult economics, and that is having to fireproof this type of construction. Getting away from fireproofing is obviously far more economical.
In the commercial sector, one of the difficulties in competing in the apartment or condominium sector is the floor height. And the Delta Beam system is definitely an innovative approach that we embrace, and that's one thing that we like in terms of an opportunity when we're dealing with architects and engineers.
Everybody likes the flat slab system. To be able to have that increased headroom and be faster than everybody and cheaper, there's no reason you wouldn't use this system.
Clearly this type of design allows for a low floor-to-floor height application that's out there with no additional fire protection being required. And that's a huge benefit in the marketplace. Those are the kinds of questions we hear on a daily basis, and be able to say, yes, there is an innovative solution to address that, that's huge.
Now, to be able to have a product that has a fire rating, that is a substantiated fire rating, I think benefits the hollow core industry as much as anybody, to be able to offer an alternative to really cast in place concrete.
So the direction was to revise or propose a revision to the fire test standard to show how the beam would perform without temperature limit. Just load it, no other restraint against it, just apply the fire, apply the load, and see how long it would withstand the fire. And essentially that's the concept of the revisions that were proposed both to ASTM E119, which is a standard that's used throughout North America, and also UL 263, which is almost identical, but is the standard that UL uses for their certification purposes.
So we can see the bottom flange being exposed, so there's no fireproofing whatsoever. Actually, you can see a bit of the rust on the underside of the beam. It's just bare steel.
As you can see, this is the typical UL setup for a 4-beam test at UL. Essentially, we go ahead and we run the test with 4 independently loaded test sections. Each test section is loaded with 3 hydraulic loads. The test is being run to go ahead and determine when each of the beams reaches a deflection as well as rate of deflection limit. And based upon when that time occurs, will be established in the ratings for the individual beams.
I like the fact that somebody has actually stepped forward to do a fire test to prove out a system by a full-scale test. So many times we really try to do things theoretically, but through a test like this, you get so much data that really substantiates what you're doing, validates what you actually might be able to calculate. So just the fact that a fire test is being run on this type of a product is very beneficial to the industry.
UL is known as the authority for fire ratings, and unless you have a UL mark essentially for that tested assembly, then engineers and architects will not hang their hat on it. Engineers and architects take the liability on the project, but to get the local building code to sign off and for those engineers and architects to hang their hat on it, you need that trusted designation by UL.
The results of the test conducted at Underwriter Laboratories exceeded Payco's R&D department's expectation by having all beams withstanding for a longer period than anticipated. The exposed steel Delta Beam managed to reach over 4 hours, which will enable Payco to obtain UL's highest listing for fire protection.
Clearly this is a demonstration of innovation in steel.
We will make a lot of professionals happy, because that's often a question we get asked: what about the fire rating? So having an exposed structure that will not have any intumescent coating will make it cost effective and will also address some of the aesthetic requirements that architects often ask.
Fire protection, when applied on site, does take time. It's another trade, it's additional cost. This removes that, Where we're competitive already, this makes us even more competitive in the marketplace.
It's a little surprising that bare steel like this can actually provide the type of fire endurance that was demonstrated by the test, but it just goes to show that concrete and steel can work pretty well together.
I think having the design team have the confidence, the understanding that everybody's gone through the process, through the UL testing labs, the amount of opportunities that it will open is going to be endless.